to believe, Mr. Chair, it should be ERC who should be advising us on the aspects and the pertinent indicators for us to understand whether or not NGCP perform well in accordance with the role. Kasi, Mr. Chair, I think it is better for us to determine which perform better in relation to the grid performance. Nung panahon ba ng Transco o nung panahon na ng NGCP? This is more understandable for us. Lawmakers, kaya namin intindihin ito, ma'am, but I don't think you are in a position to pass judgment on the performance of NGCP. Kayo po ang may-ari niyan eh. Kayo ang may-ari, pero sila po yung operator ngayon. But I think, and Madam ERC, kayo po ang kayo po ang merong role dito eh. But before that, Mr. Chair, I think you made the opening salvo and said that the very purpose of this hearing is for us to determine or to lower the rates of electricity in this country. If that is the primordial objective, I believe, Mr. Chair, the cost share of NGCP in the entire electric bill of our people is only 3%. 52% still in generation. 25% is in distribution. So if we are serious enough in focusing our attention and reducing the electricity in this country, let us focus on which area takes up the largest share. Dapat sa generation tayo eh. Pero ang daming problema po, Mr. Chair eh. I already pointed out this to the BOE. Noon po, ERC muna. If we wanted to reduce the electricity in this country, let me ask the ERC, bakit hanggang ngayon po wala kayong regulations on aggregation? Bakit yun ating pong ARCOA hindi nyo pinatutupad? This is where we can reduce our electricity. Retail competition and open access is a provision in EPIRA that we have not seriously considered. Ilan po yung nag-migrate from the captive market of Meralco? Ilan po kaya? Napakalaki po ng relation nito, Mr. Chair. If we are really serious to lower the electricity in this country, kailangan po nating i-implement po yung EPIRA. Nandun po yung sinasabing retail competition and open access. So, alam po ba ninyo kung ilan ang nakaka-graduate or migrate from the captive market of Meralco para contestable market na sila? Wala naman kayong report eh. What about aggregation? There are no rules on aggregation here. Pagkatapos ni-raise po namin ang issue way noon pa, you suddenly adopted a modality you call performance-based rate. Mr. Chair, before we had EPIRA, ang ating pong modality is RORB. This is return on base rate, which is more practical because everything else is based on CAPEX. Kung ano po yung gastos ninyo, doon tayo kikita. Pero doon sa performance-based na po eh, kung ano lang pinlano nila, hindi pa po natin napatunayan kung talagang yung plano natupad. Doon na po natin ibe-base ang singil. Kaya ang taas-taas po eh. And we need to look into the system loss. Eh, magkano po yung system loss? Meralco, maybe 10%. Electric cooperatives, maybe 20%. Ang taas po. Bakit hindi po ito yung unahin natin? Why are we focusing our attention on the transmission, which is only 3%?
Thank you very much, Honorable Marcoleta. Ano po, napaganda ho ng inyong posisyon at inyong mga tanong.
Mr. Chairman.
Honorable
Mr. Chair, into support. Point of clarification, Mr. Chair.
Klaklaruhin lang po natin ito ha. Meron pa ho isa pang presentation.
Yes,
patapusin po natin muna yung isang presentation, then lahat ng mga nakalista,
point of clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Maayos po yung ating presentation.
Mr. Chairman, point of clarification and point of information.
And hindi po naman natin dinedepensa ang Transco. But tama po si Congressman Marcoleta that we have to follow kung ano sinasabi ng ating pong EPIRA. And specifically, EPIRA law, binabanggit po yan sa Section 34F. Para po i-determine yung pong rate base, no? Transco and distribution utility, ang sinasabi, shall not be allowed to include management inefficiencies like cost of project delays. And that's the reason why Transco, binabanggit po nila yung mga delays ng mga project.
Okay.
And it is the right of the Transco na sabihin po sa atin, ano itong mga proyekto na nadidelay po. And that's the reason why sinusuportahan po ng EPIRA law under Section 34F that the management inefficiencies and cost of the project delays must be considered and must be updated by the Transco.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dan
Mr.
Fernandez.
Chair.
We will now proceed.
Mr. Chair, before we move,
With,
because you gave point of clarification kay
yeah.
Kong Dan, so it's my time siguro.
No,
Just
wala
one
po.
point clarification lang, Mr. Chair.
Before,
I think I discussed already last time.
The Honorable President Jesus,
Mr. Chair.
patapusin po natin muna
Hindi, kasi-
yung IMAP.
Mr. Chair,
so that
very
I will now
important.
entertain all the questions.
Mr.
Because
very-
kung lahat magpo-point of clarification, hindi ko matatapos
Mr. Chair,
dito.
last isa lang, Mr. Chair, kasi misleading sinasabi lang delay. Pakisabi nga ako, ano ba reason ng delay? Is it all problem by the NGCP
Wait.
or ERC rin? Or
Maybe that's
mid-court
already
case?
a question. Yes, that is already a question for interpretation, and I suggest that you are already on the list, Honorable President Jesus. So now I will now recognize IMAP. IMAP, may you please prepare for your. We may now deliver your presentation. We're taking notes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can you please, your attorney?
I'm Attorney Richard Nethercott, Mr. Chairman, this President of the Independent Electricity Market Operator of the Philippines, or IMO.
Okay. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to the honorable members of this committee. So last December 23, we were directed by this committee to prepare a study or a report on the cost impact of delayed projects. Considering the data that are in our possession, what we prepared, Mr. Chairman, is to present to the committee a comparative study of the market price impact of completed transmission line projects. So we focus on 4 completed projects of the NGCP from the last 2 years, particularly, well, actually 3 years. No? We focused on the Mindanao Visayas Interconnection Project, or MVIP, the Mariveles Hermosa and the Hermosa San Jose transmission lines, Cebu Negros Panay Backbone, or CNP3, and the Cebu Bohol Interconnection Project, Mr. Chairman. So may we request thank you, Mr. Chairman. So next slide, please. So these are the considerations or the assumptions that we've used in this project. So the target completion dates were based on the TDP 2020-2040 submitted by NGCP, approved by the DOE. We used the actual energization date reports coming from NGCP, and we also used the average price, the actual average price based on the WSM market results. Next slide, please. Mr. Chairman, just would like to emphasize that this price that we're going to discuss are prices of electricity in the market only. Now, at the average right now, only 20% of the consumption, electricity consumed in the system comes from the market. So this is only representative of that portion. And this is only generation cost. Okay? We have identified market price drivers. So, of course, basically, at the end of the day, price is determined by the interaction between supply and demand. No, moderated maybe by transmission lines. No? So these are the price drivers. For supply, there has to be available supplies. And of course, outages has to be taken into consideration, the offer price. for demand, the economic activities, and the seasonality. No? The season actually affects demand levels. Transmission lines also affect prices in terms of congestion and also outages. No? From time to time, transmission lines go into outages. So next slide, please. The first project that we have considered, Mr. Chairman, is the Mindanao-Visayas Interconnection Project. So as I said, the reference is the Transmission Development Plan. It was supposed to be completed on December 2020, but the actual energization happened on May 2023. So disconnected Mindanao and Visayas. We have considered the prices, the average prices from January 2021 to April 2023. That is the period without the energization, before energization. Ito po kasi dapat na-energize 2020 per the report. So for that period, the average prices in Luzon were 6.49 for Visayas, this is 7.39, and for Mindanao, for the billing period February 2023 to April 2023. February lang po sa Mindanao because the Mindanao WSM only started in January 2023. The price before MVIP was 6.17. Now when the MVIP was energized on May 2023, the prices from May 2023 to December 2024 with MVIP are now 5.67 in Luzon, 6.85 in the Visayas, and 4.87 in Mindanao. So yun po yung average prices. Now, we got the difference, no, without and with. And then, meron pong table dyan which says monthly average quantity or spot quantity. Ito po yung binibili sa WSM. For Luzon, that is 618,512 megawatt hours. For Visayas, 155,643 megawatt hours. For Mindanao, it's 140,788 megawatt hours. So we multiply the price difference with this monthly average spot quantity, we get a potential price reduction. So yung price reduction po is 1.99 for Luzon, 1.77 for Visayas, 1.19 for Mindanao. But yung cumulative price reduction potentially could have been 1.2 billion in Luzon, 274 million in the Visayas, 167 million in Mindanao. Now, if we multiply that with the number of months from December 2020 to May 2023, which are around 28 months, the potential cumulative price reduction for that period is 34.5 billion pesos in Luzon, 7.6 billion pesos in the Visayas, and 4.7 billion in Mindanao. Next slide, please. The next project we considered is the Mariveles, Hermosa, and Hermosa San Jose transmission lines. Now, there's a map there, Mr. Chairman, showing where these lines are going to. No? Yung isang line po was connected all the way to Tayabas. The other one went to San Jose. This line actually was instrumental in allowing the new power plants constructed in Bataan to be dispatched and transmitted. So, ang target completion date nito based on the TDP 2020-2040 is May or December 2020. The actual energization happened on April 2022. So comparing the prices, the average prices from January 21 to May 2023 without the transmission lines, and from June 2023 to December 2024 with this completed Mariveles San Jose corridor, the price difference is 1 peso and 10 centavos for Luzon. This is also only in the island of Luzon. Now, yung if we use the spot settlement price, that will be a difference of 1 peso and 47 centavos. And if we multiply that with the monthly average spot quantity for the period from the target completion to actual energization, the potential average monthly price reduction cumulative, no, is 923 million pesos, Mr. Chairman, or equivalent to 26.7 billion pesos for 29 months. Next slide, please. The third project we considered is the Negros-Panay, Cebu-Negros-Panay or CNP interconnection project. number 3. Per the TDP of 2020, no? TDP 2020-2040, the target date is December 2021. The actual energization happened on April 2024. And the computed price difference is 1 peso 19 centavos for Cebu, 1 peso 16 centavos for Negros, and 0.09, no, or 9 centavos in Panay. That was during the period when there was an N-1 contingency imposed in the Panay sub-region. However, after NGCP implemented their SIPs, no, the prices in Panay went down. So if we compare the effective spot settlement prices, the prices in Cebu, the difference is 2 pesos 65 centavos. For Negros is 2 pesos 86 centavos. And for Panay, it is 2 pesos and 42 centavos. Multiply that with the monthly average spot quantity, the potential monthly price reduction, cumulative, average in Cebu is 136.2 million, 142.42 million in Negros, and 88.8 million in Panay. For 27 months, that translates to 3.6 billion in Cebu, 3.8 billion in Negros, and 2.4 billion in Panay. Next slide, please. The next project, or the last project we considered, Mr. Chairman, for this report is the Cebu-Bohol Interconnection Project. The Cebu-Bohol, this project was targeted for completion last December 2021 based on the TDP of 2020-2040, and the actual energization happened on September 2024. The price difference, the computed price difference based on the spot settlement price is 1.24, Mr. Chairman, and multiplying that with the monthly average spot quantity of 8,964 megawatt hours, we get a potential cumulative monthly price reduction of 11 million for Bohol. For 32 months, that translates to around 354 million. Now, the observations that we have gathered from this study is that transmission lines is only one of the factors affecting price, but the most important contribution of complete and transmission projects, basically, Mr. Chairman, is the improvement of supply reliability and the potential to transmit cheaper power from available resources. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes our presentation. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for your brief presentation. Since the subject matter is NGCP, today present is the President, Mr. Anthony Almeida, who we've invited several times, and in the last hearing there was a request that a subpoena be issued, but we opted to still invite him, and I would like to thank him for coming in today's hearing. Since kayo naman po ang subject matter, may we hear from you first before questions are asked.
Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Good afternoon all to the congressmen who are all here. I'd like to read Mr. C's opening statement. Mr. C intended to attend today's proceeding after his pre-scheduled morning appointment with the embassy. However, he was unfortunately held up and cannot make it to Congress on time. He sends his sincere apologies, and he asked me to deliver this statement on his behalf. Mr. Chairman.
Please.
NGCP is a Filipino corporation, and we run the company as Filipinos. We bought the transmission business from the government in 2007 in an open public bidding at the cost of almost $4 billion. We did this in good faith and in accordance with the EPIRA law passed by Congress. This was not a negotiated bid, but was a solicited contract subjected to public bidding. We followed the law, we followed the contract you gave us to sign, we followed the regulator. As the operator of the transmission system of the country, we are a partner of the government in the energy sector. We have undertaken to pay PISAM $3.95 billion as concession fee. We have also invested so much into improving the system, almost 400 billion pesos as of the end of 2024. We have increased the capacity of the transmission system to transmit power 865 times compared to Transco. We have taken up the government's directive to loop the entire country with the completion of the Mindanao-Visayas interconnection project. We have also finished the Cebu-Negros-Panay interconnection, the Cebu-Bohol interconnection, and the Hermosa-San Jose backbone. We are not in breach of our franchise, our concession agreement, and the Philippine Grid Code. The price the consumer pays for the transmission services have gone down significantly since Transco ran it in 2008. Our portion of the bill is only 3%, but we find the other 97% has not been subjected to the same scrutiny. On our projects and alleged delays, if there's any delay, there can be directly attributed to the delays in right-of-way procurement, the long permitting process, and most significantly, ERC's delay. We have more than 100 projects pending approval with the ERC, and these projects have waited for approval for almost 4 years on the average. The last regulatory reset conducted was for the period of 2011 and to 2015. Since then, we have not been given a revenue scheme that reflects the development needs of the transmission system. Despite no clear revenue stream and uncertain recovery, we continued to invest into the grid. We continued to build, and we continued to serve our country. Even now, we are locked in discussions with the ERC, who chooses to penalize us for every little delay, and refuse to acknowledge their part in the regulatory mess the energy industry finds itself in. We follow the rules you set, the contracts you drafted, and the franchise you passed into law. We have done our job. We have bent over backwards to pursue our mandate and hold our end of the concession agreement. Our SCADA system is a secure, standalone, isolated system that is not connected to any other network. It is not connected to the internet, and it cannot be remotely hacked. It is NGCP alone, through its Filipino directors and personnel, and not the Chinese, which has the control over the system operations. The Chinese do not have control over the grid. There is no proverbial single red button that can instantly turn off the grid. There are protocols that actually prevent this. NGCP's procurement of goods and services included the updated SCADA system from NARI is through a competitive selection process as required by the ERC. The State Grid Corporation of China does not exercise control over the power grid nor over NGCP. Domestic corporations Monte Oro Grid Resources Corporation and Kalakahay Power Corporation each hold 30%, or a total of 60% of the outstanding capital stock of NGCP, whereas SGCC only holds a minority share of 40%. SGCC's shareholding in NGCP is consistent with the Constitution. Moreover, during the bidding of the concession agreement, the government required the participation of financially and technically capable participants. Since the operation of the transmission business has always been monopolized by the state, only foreign participants possess the relevant with domestic and international experience and expertise to operate transmission system comparable to the Philippine transmission grid. As to why we choose to partner with SGCC, I directly I direct this question to the former owner. He bought into the Chinese. When I bought the shares in 2010, the Chinese were already there. Similarly, the shareholders' agreement that has been the topic of so much speculation was already there when we stepped into the former owner's shoes. But I do not wish to throw stones. I also want solutions. Speaking as a businessman, we need stability, not just in the energy supply, but also in law, policy, and regulation. I strongly urge the DOE to look into the problem as a whole. The data is clear, 97% of the power interruptions from 2016 to 2013 was caused by problems in supply. We need stable, affordable baseload power. We need comprehensive aligned plan and considers the need to all sectors. We are willing to be part of the solution, but transmission should not be the solution for everyone's problems. For DOE, ERC, and Transco, NGCP, and IMOP, we should work together hand in hand to have a better energy plan. God bless us all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.